A 22-year-old Michigan woman, Rebecca Park, goes missing the night of November 3rd. She's 38 weeks pregnant, 2 weeks, give or take, from delivery. But on November 25th, 3 weeks and 1 day later, she's found dead in a national forest. She'd been stabbed to death and her unborn baby cut from her womb. And now that baby is nowhere to be found.
Rebecca was 9 months pregnant. She had 14 days left. 14 days until her due date. 14 days until she'd meet her baby boy. 14 days until she'd hold him for the first time. She had the nursery ready. She had the name picked out. She had her hospital bag packed. All she needed was those 14 days. But 3 weeks later, they found her body in the woods. Her baby had been cut out of her, and the person who did it, you would never have imagined. Welcome to Behind Dark Crime. This is where we tell the stories they wanted forgotten. Domestic violence, relationship murders, cases that went cold while families still wait for answers. Raw truth, no filter. If you're about that truth, subscribe and lock in with us. Now, let's get into today's case. Rebecca Park was 22 years old, young, full of life, about to become a mama for the first time. Well, technically the third time, because she already had 2 little boys, ages 3 and 2, who were being raised by her adoptive mother. But this baby? This was different. This was her fresh start, her chance to do it right. Rebecca had been adopted when she was just a baby. Her biological mother, a woman named Courtney Bartholomew, gave her up. And for most of Rebecca's life, Courtney wasn't around. But in 2021, they reconnected. Rebecca wanted to know where she came from, wanted to understand her roots, so she reached out. And Courtney? She welcomed her back with open arms, or so it seemed. By 2024, Rebecca was engaged to a man named Richard Fowler. He was 43, she was 22. Yeah, there's an age gap, but here's where it gets twisted. Before Richard was with Rebecca, he used to date her biological mother, Courtney. Yeah, you heard that right. Rebecca's fiancé used to be her mama's boyfriend. They dated until 2023. Then they broke up, and Richard started dating Rebecca. Make it make sense, because I can't. But anyways, Rebecca and Richard were making plans. They were talking about getting married, buying a house, building a life together. And then in early 2024, Rebecca got pregnant, a baby boy, due November 17th, 2024. Rebecca was excited, scared, sure, but excited. This was her chance to be a mama on her own terms. The day before Rebecca disappeared, she thought it was time. November the 2nd, 2024. She'd been having contractions all day, not the fake ones, Braxton Hicks, the practice contractions. These felt real, strong, consistent. She called Richard. I think this is it. They rushed to the hospital in Cadillac, Michigan. Rebecca was 38 weeks pregnant, full term. The baby could come any day. When the doctors examined her, though, she was only 1 centimeter dilated. Not yet, they told her. Could be today, could be next week. Go home and wait for the contractions to get stronger. Rebecca went home disappointed, but also relieved. She needed a few more days to get ready. Mentally, emotionally. Becoming a mama is a big deal. She had no idea she'd never get that second trip to the hospital. The next day, November 3rd, Rebecca's phone rang. It was her biological mother, Courtney Bartholomew. And Courtney had a proposition. Come over, she said. I got that money for you. Now, let me explain the money situation. According to Courtney, she'd sold some land, family inheritance or something like that. And she was going to give Rebecca $2,000 from the sale, $2,000, for a young woman who's about to have a baby, who's trying to buy diapers and formula and all the things babies need. That's a lot of money. That's life-changing money. Courtney sweetened the deal. Let's go get milkshakes too. Spend some time together. Rebecca didn't hesitate. Why would she? This was her mother, the woman who gave birth to her. Yeah, they'd been apart for most of Rebecca's life, but they'd reconnected. They were building a relationship, And Courtney was offering money and quality time. What's not to trust? There's actually a voicemail. Rebecca left it for a friend right around this time, and you can hear it in her voice, the hope, the excitement. She says,
"Hey, I'm not trying to just make it all about money, and I really don't give a but I told her that. So today she's supposed to actually give me the actual but we'll see how that goes. And which means money-wise, and go out for shakes. So we'll see.
So we'll see. That's the last thing Rebecca's voice says on record, and it's haunting. Because now we know. We know how that went. According to Courtney's own timeline, the one she gave to police and to a podcaster named Stephanie Pratt, here's what happened that evening. Around 6:30 to 7 p.m., Courtney went to Richard's house. That's Rebecca's fiancé. Courtney picked Rebecca up from there. They were going to get those milkshakes, spend some mother-daughter time. By 7:30 p.m., Courtney says they were back at her house in Boone Township, just outside Cadillac, Michigan. Courtney lived there with her husband, Bradley Bartholomew. He's Rebecca's stepfather, though he'd only been in the picture since Courtney and Rebecca reconnected in 2021. Courtney claims that she and Rebecca sat in the driveway for a bit, talked about the baby shower that was coming up, made plans, normal family stuff. And then, around 8:30 p.m., Courtney says something strange happened. A car pulled up, a dark-colored vehicle. Mystery car, she called it. And according to Courtney, Rebecca just stood up and said, "Mom, I have somebody coming to get me." Courtney says she was confused. "What do you mean? Who's coming to get you?" And Rebecca supposedly took that $2,000, all in $100 bills, put it in her pocket, and got in that mystery car. Just like that. And drove away. That's Courtney's story. That's what she told police. That's what she told the podcaster. That's what she told the media when Rebecca first went missing. But here's the thing. That story? It doesn't make sense, at all. Think about it. You're 9 months pregnant. Belly out to here. You can barely move. You just got $2,000 in cash from your mother, and some random car pulls up and you just get in it? No explanation, no phone call, no text to your fiancé saying, "Hey, I'm going somewhere, I'll be back." Rebecca's friend said she never went anywhere alone. Never. She was always with Richard, always on her phone texting people, letting them know where she was. And if something felt wrong, she had a system. Her best friend said they'd had a plan for 6 years. If Rebecca ever felt unsafe, she'd give a signal. They'd call the cops immediately. So the idea that Rebecca just casually got into some mystery car without telling anyone, it doesn't add up. But Courtney stuck to that story. And at first, people wanted to believe her. Because why wouldn't they? She's Rebecca's mother. Mothers don't lie about their missing daughters, right? Here's another part of Courtney's timeline that's suspicious. She says Rebecca left in that mystery car around 8:30 p.m. But by 11 p.m., just 2.5 hours later, Courtney is calling Richard over and over and over again, frantically, trying to get his attention. Richard was asleep. He'd been working. He was exhausted. But Courtney wouldn't stop calling. And when he finally picked up, she told him Rebecca was missing, that she'd gotten in some car and never came back. Richard immediately tried to call Rebecca. No answer. He tried again. Nothing. So they came up with a plan to ping Rebecca's phone, track her location, see where she was, and that's when they found it. Rebecca's phone was lying on a dirt road, a 2-track road near Courtney's house, just sitting there. No Rebecca, no mystery car, just the phone. That's when Richard called the police. November 4th, 2024. Rebecca Park was officially reported missing. When the Wexford County Sheriff's Office got the call, they started searching immediately. They brought in K-9 units, drones, search teams on foot, volunteers from the community. Hundreds of people walking through the woods, calling Rebecca's name, hoping to find her alive.
After gathering at Meyer, the search party caravanned to West 26 Road and South 21.5 Road, an area organizers believe needed another thorough sweep.
This is awesome. We have a great community, and it's great to see a community to come together when somebody is in trouble and needs help. So I am a mother, I'm a grandmother, and when somebody needs help, I just have a big heart.
Volunteers lined up an arm's length apart, working in a tight formation to make sure no patch of ground went unchecked. Off-road vehicles and a search dog helped widen the grid, giving crews more reach through the wooded terrain. Also joining the search was the Clandestine Investigative Authority, a professional search group out of Clare County.
I noticed that Rebecca was a foster child. I myself was a foster child for 16 years, and I know what it's like to find a family that actually cares for you, even a group of friends, and to have that person ripped from you, it really tears at my heart. I want to bring closure to her and her family.
The Wexford County Sheriff's Office did not join the search today, but told us they have already conducted a thorough search in the areas where Rebecca was last seen. Organizers say determination, teamwork, and hope continue to drive these searches, no matter how long they take.
And leading a lot of those searches, Courtney Bartholomew, Rebecca's mother. She was in a wheelchair, claimed she was disabled, but she was out there, emotional, desperate, begging people to help find her daughter. She did interviews with local news. She told her story over and over. The mystery car, the $2,000, how worried she was, how she just wanted Rebecca home safe. People felt for her, a mother searching for her missing pregnant daughter. That's heartbreaking. The community rallied around her. They searched for 3 weeks, 3 long, cold weeks in November in northern Michigan. But here's what nobody knew at the time. Courtney wasn't searching for Rebecca. She was covering up what she'd already done. While the search was happening, investigators were digging into Courtney's background, her social media, her phone records, her messages, and they found something chilling. In October 2024, just 1 month before Rebecca went missing, Courtney sent a message on Facebook to someone. She told them she just had a baby, said he was born early, said he was in the NICU and having trouble breathing. She asked for prayers. But here's the problem. Courtney didn't have a baby. She wasn't pregnant. She's 40 years old, and there's no record of her giving birth. So why would she tell people she had a newborn baby in the NICU? When the podcaster Stephanie Pratt asked Courtney about that message during an interview, Courtney denied it, said she never sent it, but it was from her Facebook account. It was her words, and it was sent just weeks before Rebecca, who actually was pregnant, went missing. Investigators believe that message is evidence of premeditation, that Courtney was planning this, that she wanted people to believe she had a baby so that when she took Rebecca's baby, nobody would question it. Think about that. A month before Rebecca disappeared, Courtney was already laying the groundwork, already telling people she had a newborn, already setting up her cover story. That's not impulse. That's not a moment of rage. That's a plan. 3 weeks. That's how long Rebecca was missing. 3 weeks of searching. 3 weeks of hoping. 3 weeks of Courtney going on TV, crying, begging for her daughter to come home. And then, on November 25th, 2024, volunteers were searching the Manistee National Forest. This is a huge area just outside Cadillac. Thick woods, hard to navigate. They'd already searched parts of it before, but they went back, kept looking, and that's when they found her. A group of volunteers, not police, but regular people from the community, came across something in the woods. At first, they thought it might be a mask or maybe some kind of mannequin. But as they got closer, they realized it was a body. It was Rebecca. One of the searchers later described the moment, said they didn't want to believe it was real. They called the police immediately, and when investigators arrived, they confirmed it. The body was Rebecca Park, but her baby was nowhere to be found. When investigators arrived at the scene in the Manistee National Forest on November 25th, what they saw was beyond anything they'd prepared for. Rebecca Park's body was lying in the woods. She'd been stabbed multiple times, but that wasn't the worst part. Her baby was gone. Cut out of her. Let me be clear about what that means. This wasn't a natural birth. This wasn't a C-section performed by a doctor in a hospital. This was someone taking a knife and cutting into a 38-week pregnant woman and removing her baby while she was in the woods, in the cold, in November. The medical examiner would later confirm Rebecca's identity through an autopsy, but they couldn't tell investigators where the baby was, because the baby wasn't there. Just Rebecca, alone, in the woods. And here's something that made investigators immediately suspicious. The area where Rebecca's body was found, it had already been searched, at least once, maybe more than once. Volunteers had walked through there. They hadn't seen anything. But now, suddenly, there's a body, which means Rebecca's body was moved. Somebody put her there, recently, maybe even the night before she was found. And you want to know who pointed the searchers to that exact spot? Courtney, Rebecca's mother. The day before the body was found, Courtney came out to her driveway and told volunteers, "Search over there, I have a feeling." She pointed them right to where Rebecca was, because she's the one who put her there. The same day Rebecca's body was found, police started moving. Fast. Because they knew this wasn't some random crime. This wasn't a stranger abduction. This was family. That night, November 25th, they arrested Richard Fowler, Rebecca's fiancé, the man she was supposed to marry, the father of her unborn baby. But here's the thing. They didn't charge him with anything related to Rebecca's death. They charged him with drug crimes, methamphetamine, manufacturing, and delivery. Richard Fowler is 43 years old. He's a registered sex offender, and now he's facing drug charges that could put him away for life because he's a habitual offender. His bond? $1 million. The prosecutor called him a flight risk. So why arrest him on drug charges if they thought he was involved in Rebecca's murder? Simple. They needed to hold him, keep him locked up while they continued investigating, and drug charges were the easiest way to do that. The next day, November 26th, they arrested somebody else. Kimberly Park, Rebecca's younger sister. Now, Kimberly had been all over social media while Rebecca was missing, posting about her sister, begging for help. On November 13th, Kimberly posted, "Sissy, please come home. I miss you. I need you. Sis, you're driving me stir crazy." And she added 15 crying emojis. Then, on November 25th, when Rebecca's body was believed to have been found, Kimberly posted again, "My sister was found. I'm breaking so bad. I'm sorry, sis. I'm sorry that I failed you. I love you, sis." Sounds like a grieving sister, right? But police arrested her anyway, charged her with tampering with evidence, lying to police, and filing a false report. Her bond? $750,000. Again, nothing directly related to Rebecca's murder, but the charges were serious enough to keep her locked up, which tells you investigators believed she knew something, that she was involved somehow, that she was lying. For almost a week after Rebecca's body was found, Courtney Bartholomew kept up her act. She did more interviews, she cried about losing her daughter, she talked about wanting to find her grandson, the missing baby. She played the devastated mother perfectly. But behind the scenes, investigators were building a case. They were looking at phone records, social media, surveillance footage, witness statements, the timeline, the lies, the Facebook message from October, the way Courtney pointed searchers right to Rebecca's body. And on November 30th, they made their move. Police arrested Courtney Bartholomew, Rebecca's biological mother. And about an hour later, they arrested her husband, Bradley Bartholomew, Rebecca's stepfather. At first, authorities didn't say what the charges were. They just said the couple was in custody and would be arraigned soon. But people knew. The community knew. This was about Rebecca. On December 2nd, Courtney and Bradley Bartholomew appeared in court for their arraignment. And that's when the prosecutor laid out the charges. And let me tell you something. These charges are brutal. They tell you exactly what investigators believe happened. Courtney and Bradley are both charged with first-degree premeditated murder, felony murder, torture, conspiracy to commit torture, assault of a pregnant individual intentionally causing miscarriage or stillbirth, unlawful imprisonment, concealing the death of an individual, conspiracy to commit unlawful imprisonment, 8 charges each. And some of those, they carry mandatory life sentences in Michigan. But it's that torture charge that should make your blood run cold. Because in Michigan, you don't get charged with torture unless there's evidence that the victim suffered, that they were in pain, that they were conscious and aware of what was happening to them. The prosecutor stood up in that courtroom and told the judge exactly what they believe happened. And I'm going to read you what he said, word for word, because you need to hear this. We had 2 individuals that created a plan. They conducted research. They brought Rebecca Park to their home. They forced her into a vehicle and took her into the woods where they stabbed her, forced her to lie on the ground while they cut her baby out of her, ultimately causing her death and the death of the baby.
Thank you. Again, the people are going to request the court deny bond in this case pursuant to MCR 6.106B1, which allows the court to deny pretrial release to a defendant charged with murder. She is charged with murder. She's also charged with felony murder and 6 other counts, as the court read. I hate to repeat it, but to create a record in this case as well, I think no bond or being held without bond is appropriate. Again, this is a case of premeditated torture and murder. These 2 individuals created a plan, conducted research. Ms. Bartholomew brought Rebecca to their home. They forced her into another vehicle and took her into the woods where they stabbed her, forced her to lie on the ground while they cut her baby out, and ultimately caused her death and the death of the baby. They then left Rebecca in the woods. This is, frankly, evil personified, and I would ask the court to hold her without bond.
The court does find, based on what's been presented to it today, the cause affidavit I've read and various search warrants I've read, the defendant is both a flight risk and a threat to the community, and therefore she will be held without bond. I am going to order...
Your Honor, I have a
No. I'm also going to order that the defendant not have any contact with Bradley Bartholomew, and I'm going to sua sponte go back and add that requirement to his bond conditions as well. Counsel, anything for the record?
No, sir, thank you.
Read that again. Forced her to lie on the ground while they cut her baby out of her. That means Rebecca was alive, conscious, aware. She felt them cutting into her. She knew what was happening, and she couldn't stop it. The prosecutor continued. He called this case as heinous and as awful a case as it could be. He told the judge there were no circumstances under which Courtney or Bradley should be granted bond. None, the judge agreed. No bond. Both of them are being held in the Wexford County Jail, and they're not allowed to communicate with each other from their cells. Remember Stephanie Pratt, the true crime podcaster from Steph's Case Files? She's the one who interviewed Courtney multiple times while Rebecca was missing. And those interviews, they're going to be key evidence in this case, because Courtney told Stephanie things that don't add up, things that changed every time she told the story. And Stephanie caught it all on tape. After Rebecca's body was found, Courtney did another interview with Stephanie, and this time she was more emotional. She said, "No one knows what it's like to lose a child." But here's what Stephanie found peculiar.
After Rebecca's body was found, she came on for another interview. And this time she was more emotional, saying that no one knows what it's like to lose a child, quote unquote. And I found it peculiar that she was soaking in this support, trying to find her grandson. And all this time, she knows and knew where they were.
Courtney was soaking in the sympathy. She was accepting condolences. She was talking about finding her grandson, the missing baby. And the whole time, she knew. She knew where Rebecca was. She knew what happened to the baby. She knew because she did it. Stephanie also asked Courtney about that Facebook message, the one from October where Courtney told someone she'd just had a baby in the NICU. Courtney denied sending it, said it wasn't her, but it was from her account. It was her words. And investigators believe it's proof that Courtney was planning this for weeks, maybe months. So why would a mother do this to her own daughter? Why would Courtney lure Rebecca to her house, take her into the woods, and cut her baby out of her? Investigators believe the answer is simple. Courtney wanted a baby. She's 40 years old. She has a 14-year-old son who, according to Stephanie Pratt, wanted a sibling. Courtney had been talking about wanting to have another baby with her husband Bradley. But at 40, that's not always easy. Pregnancy gets harder, riskier, and maybe Courtney didn't want to wait, or maybe she couldn't get pregnant at all. But Rebecca was 38 weeks pregnant, full term. That baby could be born any day and survive just fine. All Courtney had to do was take him, and she'd already laid the groundwork. She told people in October, a full month before Rebecca went missing, that she'd had a baby, that he was in the NICU, that he was having trouble breathing. She was setting up her story, so that when Rebecca's baby suddenly appeared, people wouldn't question it. They'd think it was Courtney's baby, the one she'd been posting about. It's called fetal abduction, and it's more common than you'd think. Women who are desperate for a baby, who can't have one themselves, will sometimes kill a pregnant woman and take her baby. It's horrific, it's evil, but it happens. And in this case, investigators believe that's exactly what Courtney did. She saw Rebecca, young, healthy, full-term pregnant, and she saw an opportunity. Rebecca trusted her. Rebecca would come if she called, and Courtney used that trust to lure her daughter to her death. Here's the question that haunts this case. Where is the baby? When they found Rebecca's body on November 25th, the baby wasn't with her. Police conducted massive searches of the area. They brought in cadaver dogs. They searched the woods. They searched Courtney and Bradley's property. They towed trucks from the scene. They collected DNA evidence, but they haven't found the baby. The Wexford County Sheriff, Trent Taylor, put out a statement saying the Wexford County Sheriff's Office, along with multiple law enforcement agencies, is working diligently to determine the condition and potential whereabouts of the baby. But here's what's chilling. Police have said they believe the baby is dead. They've charged Courtney and Bradley with the baby's murder even though they don't have a body, which means they must have some kind of evidence, maybe forensic evidence from the scene. Maybe something on Courtney's phone or computer, maybe a confession from someone involved, or maybe it's just the timeline. Rebecca was 38 weeks pregnant. That baby could have survived if he'd been taken to a hospital immediately, but he wasn't. And if Courtney and Bradley cut him out of Rebecca in the woods, in the cold, in November, with no medical equipment, no sterile environment, that baby didn't have a chance. Some people have speculated that maybe the baby is alive, that maybe Courtney gave him to someone else, or sold him. Richard Fowler's drug charges have led some to wonder if there was some kind of trafficking scheme, but police haven't said anything to support that theory, and the charges they've filed suggest they believe the baby died. So where is he? That's the question. Is he buried somewhere in those woods? Was his body moved? Was he disposed of in a way that makes him impossible to find? We don't know, and until police find him, we might never know. Let's go back to Courtney's timeline, the one she gave to police and to the podcaster, because when you lay it out step by step, it falls apart. Courtney says she picked up Rebecca from Richard's house around 6:30 to 7:20 p.m. on November 3rd. They went to get milkshakes. They came back to Courtney's house by 7:30 p.m. They sat in the driveway talking. Then, at 8:30 p.m., a mystery car showed up, Rebecca got in, and that was the last time Courtney saw her. But by 11:00 p.m., just 2.5 hours later, Courtney is frantically calling Richard trying to find Rebecca. Why? If Rebecca left willingly in a car at 8:30, why would Courtney be panicking by 11:00? And here's another thing. Courtney says Rebecca took $2,000 in cash with her, all in $100 bills. But Rebecca's phone was found on a dirt road near Courtney's house. If Rebecca left in a car, why would her phone be there? Did she drop it? Did someone throw it out the window? Or was it planted there to make it look like Rebecca left? Investigators believe none of it is true. They don't think there was a mystery car. They don't think Rebecca left willingly. They think Courtney and Bradley forced Rebecca into their vehicle, drove her into the Manistee National Forest, and killed her there. The torture charge suggests Rebecca was alive when they cut the baby out. The stabbing might have come after, or maybe during. We don't know the exact sequence. But what we do know is that Rebecca suffered. She was aware, she felt it, and the people who did it were her own mother and stepfather. After Rebecca's body was found, Courtney did one more interview with Stephanie Pratt, and this time she had a new story. She started blaming other people. When Stephanie asked her what she thought happened, Courtney said, "Kimmy is in jail, and so is Rich. Do you know what they're going to be charged with at the preliminary hearing? Homicide." She was trying to throw her own daughter Kimberly and Rebecca's fiancé Richard under the bus. She was saying they did it, not her, them. But here's the problem. Kimberly and Richard were arrested on different charges. Kimberly for tampering with evidence and lying. Richard for drugs. Neither of them has been charged with Rebecca's murder. Only Courtney and Bradley have. So why would Courtney lie and say they were going to be charged with homicide? Simple. She was trying to deflect. She was trying to make herself look innocent. She was still playing the grieving mother. But the evidence was piling up against her. The Facebook message, the timeline, the way she pointed searchers to Rebecca's body, the fact that the body had been moved to that location recently, and whatever forensic evidence investigators collected from the scene, from Courtney's house, from the vehicles they towed. Courtney's lies were catching up to her, and on November 30th, they finally did. When Courtney and Bradley Bartholomew appeared in court for their arraignment on December 2nd, something unusual happened. The proceedings were being live-streamed. People from all over the country were watching, true crime followers, community members, family and friends of Rebecca. Everyone wanted to see the people accused of this horrific crime face a judge, but then the judge made a decision. He shut it down. Mid-arraignment, the judge looked at the camera and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, both here in the courtroom for the media and those on live stream, the court has an ethical duty to make sure that the defendants in these cases are able to obtain a fair trial. The court is well aware of the publicity that this case has received across the country and perhaps around the world. So in order to protect the defendants' interests in this case, the court is going to take the courtroom off of live stream. He also ordered that any media present could not stream the proceedings. They could record, they could edit, they could put together a story, but they couldn't broadcast it live. People were frustrated. They wanted transparency. They wanted to see Courtney's face when those charges were read. They wanted to watch her reaction. But the judge was protecting the case, making sure that when this goes to trial, there's no grounds for appeal based on prejudicial publicity. And honestly, that tells you how serious this is. The judge knows this case is going to trial. He knows it's going to be long, complicated, and emotionally devastating. And he's doing everything he can to make sure justice is done right. Let me break down what Courtney and Bradley Bartholomew are facing. Because these aren't just murder charges. These are some of the most serious charges you can face in the state of Michigan. First-degree premeditated murder. That's the big one. In Michigan, if you're convicted of first-degree murder, it's an automatic life sentence without the possibility of parole. No discretion, no parole board. You die in prison. And premeditated means they planned it. They thought about it. They researched it. They executed it. Felony murder. This is when someone dies during the commission of another felony. In this case, the other felony is probably the assault of a pregnant woman or the torture charge. If you're committing a serious crime and someone dies as a result, that's felony murder. Also, life without parole in Michigan, torture. Now, this is the charge that tells you exactly what investigators believe happened. Michigan law defines torture as an act that causes serious physical injury to another person, is intended to cause physical or psychological pain or suffering, and is committed for one or more of the following purposes: to get information, to punish, to coerce, or for sadistic reasons. When they charge Courtney and Bradley with torture, they're saying Rebecca suffered, that she was in pain, that she was conscious, that she knew what was happening, and that it was intentional. Conspiracy to commit torture. That means both of them planned it together. This wasn't one person acting alone. They talked about it. They agreed to it. They worked together. Assault of a pregnant individual intentionally causing miscarriage or stillbirth. This charge is specifically about the baby. They didn't just kill Rebecca. They killed her unborn child. And in Michigan, that's a separate crime. Unlawful imprisonment. They held Rebecca against her will. She couldn't leave. She couldn't escape. Concealing the death of an individual. After they killed Rebecca, they hid her body. They moved it. They tried to cover up what they'd done. Conspiracy to commit unlawful imprisonment. Again, they both planned to hold Rebecca against her will. 8 charges, each one carrying serious prison time, some of them mandatory life sentences. If convicted on all counts, Courtney and Bradley Bartholomew will never see the outside of a prison again. A lot of people are asking, what about Richard Fowler and Kimberly Park, Rebecca's fiance and her sister? They were arrested too. Are they involved? Here's what we know. Richard is facing drug charges, manufacturing and delivering methamphetamine. He's 43 years old. He's a registered sex offender. And he's a habitual offender, which means if he's convicted, he could get life in prison just for the drug charges. But he hasn't been charged with anything related to Rebecca's death. Not yet anyway. So why arrest him? Some people think police are holding him to see if he'll cooperate. Maybe he knows something. Maybe he saw something. Maybe Courtney said something to him. Or maybe the drug charges are completely separate and they just happened to arrest him at the same time because they had enough evidence. We don't know. And until prosecutors say otherwise, we have to assume Richard's charges are unrelated to the murder. As for Kimberly Park, she's charged with tampering with evidence, lying to police, and filing a false report. Her bond is $750,000, which is extremely high for those kinds of charges. That tells you prosecutors believe she's either involved somehow or she knows something important. Did Kimberly help Courtney and Bradley? Did she lie to cover for them? Did she tamper with evidence to protect her mother? Or was she just scared and said the wrong things to police? We don't know that either. But the fact that she's being held on such a high bond suggests prosecutors think she's more than just a witness. This case has rocked northern Michigan. Cadillac is a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And when a young pregnant woman goes missing, the whole community comes together to search. Hundreds of people volunteered. They walked through the woods in freezing temperatures. They posted flyers. They shared Rebecca's picture on social media. They organized search parties. They showed up day after day, hoping to find her alive. And the whole time, the person leading some of those searches was the same person who killed her. People feel betrayed. They feel sick. They put their trust in Courtney. They believed her story about the mystery car. They sympathized with her. They prayed for her. And she was lying the entire time. After Courtney and Bradley were arrested, protesters showed up at their house. People were angry, demanding justice, demanding answers. And you can understand why. This isn't just a murder case. This is a mother killing her own daughter. And not just killing her, torturing her, cutting her baby out of her. That's a level of evil most people can't even comprehend. Rebecca's adoptive mother, Stephanie Park, has been mostly silent. She told reporters she's been preparing for this outcome, that she never suspected Rebecca ran away, that she knew something terrible had happened. She's now caring for Rebecca's 2 other sons, ages 3 and 2. And she's caring for Kimberly's 1-year-old daughter too. 3 little boys who will grow up without their mama. 3 little boys who will one day have to learn what happened to her. And how do you even explain that? How do you tell a child that their grandmother killed their mother? As of right now, Courtney and Bradley Bartholomew are being held without bond. They're not allowed to communicate with each other. They're awaiting trial. And this trial? It's going to be massive. National media is already covering it. True crime podcasters are following every development. And when it finally goes to court, it's going to be brutal. The prosecution is going to present that Facebook message from October, the one where Courtney said she had a newborn baby in the NICU. They're going to show that she was planning this weeks in advance. They're going to present the timeline, show how Courtney's story doesn't add up, how the mystery car never existed, how Rebecca's phone was found right near Courtney's house. They're going to call Stephanie Pratt, the podcaster, to testify. She's going to play those interviews where Courtney told different versions of the story, where she blamed other people, where she pretended to be a grieving mother while knowing exactly what she'd done. They're going to present forensic evidence from the scene, whatever DNA they found, whatever blood evidence, whatever tire tracks or footprints or fibers that link Courtney and Bradley to the crime. And they're going to present the autopsy report, the one that shows Rebecca was stabbed, that her baby was cut out of her, that she suffered. The defense, they're going to have a hard time. Because what can you say? How do you defend this? Maybe they'll argue that Courtney has mental health issues, that she wasn't in her right mind, that she was delusional. But even if that's true, the premeditation evidence is going to be hard to overcome. That Facebook message proves she was planning this. Planning means she knew what she was doing. Or maybe they'll try to argue that Bradley did it, and Courtney was just scared, that she went along with it because she was afraid of him. But the charges say conspiracy. That means they both planned it. They both agreed to it. Whatever strategy the defense uses, they're fighting an uphill battle because the evidence is strong, the motive is clear, and the crime is unforgivable. Where is the baby? That's the question that haunts everyone who's followed this case. Investigators have searched the woods. They've searched Courtney and Bradley's property. They've brought in cadaver dogs. They've looked everywhere, but they haven't found him. Some people think the baby might still be alive, that maybe Courtney gave him to someone or sold him, that somewhere out there, someone is raising Rebecca's son and doesn't even know where he came from. But law enforcement doesn't seem to think that's the case. They've charged Courtney and Bradley with the baby's death. They've said publicly that they believe the baby is dead, which means they must have some kind of evidence. Maybe the forensics from Rebecca's body showed that the baby couldn't have survived. Maybe there's blood evidence at the scene. Maybe there's something on Courtney's phone or computer that proves what happened. Or maybe it's just common sense. A 38-week-old baby cut out of his mother in the woods in November with no medical care? That baby didn't have a chance. But until they find his body, there's going to be doubt. There's going to be hope. And there's going to be heartbreak for everyone who loved Rebecca and wanted to meet her son. Rebecca had a name picked out for him. She'd been planning for months. She'd told her friends. She'd told her fiancé. She was ready to be his mama. And now that little boy will never hear the name his mama chose for him. He'll never feel her arms around him. He'll never know how much she wanted him. Because the person who took that away from both of them was Rebecca's own mother. Rebecca Park was 22 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. She had a fiancé who was planning a future with her. She had friends who cared about her. She had dreams. And all of that was taken away by the one person who should have protected her, the one person who should have loved her unconditionally, her mother. People have asked, how does this happen? How does a mother kill her own child? And the truth is, we may never fully understand. Because to do what Courtney did requires a level of evil that most of us can't comprehend. But what we can do is remember Rebecca. Remember that she was a real person, a young woman who was excited to become a mama, who trusted the wrong person, who deserved so much better than what she got. We can also remember that baby, That little boy who never got a chance, who was 2 weeks away from being born, who would be here right now if his grandmother hadn't decided she wanted him for herself, and we can demand justice for Rebecca, for her baby, for her family, for everyone who searched for her, hoping she'd come home alive. Courtney and Bradley Bartholomew are facing life in prison, and if the evidence is as strong as it seems, that's exactly where they'll spend the rest of their lives, never seeing freedom again, never holding another child, never experiencing another moment of joy. Because they took that away from Rebecca, and in doing so, they forfeited their own right to live free. As of right now, Courtney and Bradley Bartholomew are in the Wexford County Jail awaiting trial. They've been denied bond. They're not allowed to communicate with each other. Richard Fowler is also in jail on his drug charges with a $1 million bond. Kimberly Park is in jail with a $750,000 bond. Investigators are still searching for the baby. They're still collecting evidence. They're still building their case, and the community is still grieving, still processing, still trying to understand how something this evil could happen in their town. Because this isn't just another murder case. This is a mother who allegedly killed her own daughter and cut her baby out. That's the kind of evil that shocks the conscience, that makes you question everything you thought you knew about human nature. But it's also a reminder that evil exists, that it can hide behind a smile, behind tears, behind the face of someone you trust. Rebecca trusted her mother, and it cost her everything. This is one of those cases that's going to stay with you long after you finish watching this video, long after you move on to the next story. Because it's not just about what happened, it's about who did it. A mother, the person who's supposed to protect you, the person who's supposed to love you more than anyone else in the world. That's who killed Rebecca Park. And that betrayal, that's what makes this case so devastating. Because if you can't trust your own mother, who can you trust? Rebecca is gone, her baby is gone, and the person responsible is sitting in a jail cell waiting for justice. But justice won't bring Rebecca back. Justice won't bring that baby back. Justice won't undo the horror of what happened in those woods on November 3rd. All justice can do is make sure that Courtney and Bradley Bartholomew never hurt anyone else. Never take another life. Never cause another family this kind of pain. And that's going to have to be enough. Here at Behind Dark Crime, we focus on domestic violence, on murders that happen within families, within relationships, because those are the ones that hurt the most. Those are the ones where trust is broken in the worst possible way. Rebecca Park's case is one of those. A daughter betrayed by her mother, a baby stolen before he could even take his first breath, a family destroyed by evil. If this story affected you, I need you to do something. Subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell. Because we're going to make sure Rebecca's story doesn't get forgotten. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you think. Tell me how this case made you feel. Because that's what this community is about. We're here to talk about the hard stuff, the dark stuff, the stuff that keeps us up at night, and most importantly, if you or someone you know is in a dangerous situation with family, with a partner, with anyone, get help. Call the domestic violence hotline. Talk to someone you trust. Get out. Because this case shows us that sometimes the most dangerous person in your life is the one you trust the most. Rest in peace, Rebecca Park, and rest in peace to that baby boy who never got to meet his mama. We won't forget you. This is Behind Dark Crime. Stay safe out there.